Hey, it's Paul here on The Friendly Viewer. On this channel, we do a ton of tech and gadget reviews, so make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can watch more videos just like this one. Whew, that fake bouncing up and down sounded a lot better in my head than reality. I am tired and out of breath. All right, we've had the giant Bongo bouncer from Rave Sports, 20 feet, for 5 years now. We've had experience setting it up, taking it down, maintaining it, all that stuff. Had a ton of fun with it. Keep using it. I want to share that information with you in this video. So this might not be for everyone, but if you want to know what it's like to have one, or if you're interested in getting one, you can find links in the description below. Now let's check it out. The first thing you'll notice when you get the Bongo bouncer that it is heavy and it's very flimsy. It's not sturdy until it's blown up, so it's hard to handle with one person. I occasionally manage it myself, but you really should have at least 2, if not more people when you're trying to move it around or navigate it. You also want to make sure that you have the pump from Rave. It's going to have the right adapter so it connect in there, and it's also going to make sure that you don't overinflate it. This thing does occasionally overheat, especially if it's in the direct sun, and it's going to take you a couple times where you have to give it a 10-minute break or so. On the rear side, whenever you're deflating it, it's going to help you out with that, so I highly recommend it. Again, I'll put a link in the description below. Once you get it filled up, I'd recommend putting on the ladder and a couple of the straps for the accessories while it's still on the land, because it's going to be easier to do that before you get it on the water. We often put on the little first piece that helps you get on top of it while it's still on land, and maybe the slide. You're going to need to anchor it down. They sell a bungee kit, but you need to have something solid that's going to connect to, because this thing catches a lot of wind and it's like a giant sail. So the wind's going to blow it around. We do occasionally still have problems with that. The first time it took us a little bit to get that anchor really set in, but once it's there, it's pretty good. It just means something that you're going to have to deal with, especially if a storm comes through. To get it out there, once you have the anchor in place, it could be a little bit interesting based on the wind. It could be either your friend or your foe. What we typically do is tie a little tagline to it to help pull it to the right spot, because it's a little bit easier if you're grabbing onto the anchor as well as the rope at the same time. Once we get it in place, it should hold it pretty well, but again, make sure to tie that thing down because it will catch a lot of air and drift around if you don't watch out. Once it's attached, it's a lot of fun, but you have to remember this is a bouncer and not a trampoline. So you notice at the setup, we did not have to do anything as far as connecting springs. You just blow it up and you're good to go. Same thing on the takedown, there's no springs to deal with, but that means that you're not going to get the same launch or the springiness, imagine that, as you do with a trampoline. So remember that. So it's a trade-off with maintenance there of the trampoline version versus the bouncer version. We enjoy the bouncer version, but I can't quite do a full front flip with it, but you can jump off the side of it and have a lot of fun. It's kind of more like a big kind of bouncy island out there. As far as the accessories with it, we've had the slide walk, the slide, the blob, and this little thing that helps you get on it. The blob was probably the first thing that got a little bit of a hole in it that was harder to patch up. The slide got a hole in it, also a little bit harder to patch up. The slide walk's been great, survived the whole time. We also had a hole in the bottom of the bouncer itself. We patched it up, it's held perfectly for years. That little kit that comes with it, so that works out just fine. Just follow the instructions. You'll notice as we kind of get into looking deeper at the little thing that we use to climb up on it, the handles are starting to corrode off of it in some bits and pieces. After about 5 years of sitting in the sun in the summer, that's going to start to deteriorate and you have to do some maintenance. Takedown is the reverse of the setup. So you have to swim it off there, disconnect it from that anchor point, bring it up, and then you're going to want to scrub it because there's going to be bird poop and stuff on the top of it. You don't want on there whenever you're storing it. So scrub that off with just a brush. You can buy cleaner for it, but we just use water and a brush and it seems to do fine. And then you need to flip it over. Some years I have a little bit of wind and I can actually just push the thing up over my head and the wind will catch it and I'll flip it right over. But this year there wasn't enough wind, so I had to deflate it, flip it over and reinflate it to get it firm enough that I can really scrub against it. And that underside is where you're going to find a lot of the grime that needs to get cleared off of it. So just work at that. It'll come off pretty clean. It doesn't have to be perfect, but that's going to help you when you store it. Then you're going to put it in reverse, deflate it, fold it up really nice and store it somewhere so you can have it ready to go next year. So once you get it all folded up, it's a pretty heavy thing. It probably takes a couple people to carry it or drag it somewhere, but be really careful if you drag it at all because you don't want to pop it because it got on a rock or something or snagged on something. Here we go. Overall, our family and friends love this thing. It makes it much more fun to play out in the lake. We have a blast with it. It does take a little bit of setup and a little bit of takedown each year, but besides that, it's been a ton of fun to play with, and I'd highly suggest it. Again, you can find links in the description below. If you found this video useful, hit that like button. Also, comment below and let me know what your thoughts are on it. This has been Paul with the Rave Sports 20-foot bouncer. Thank you for watching. Now that the bouncer's put away, let's enjoy these awesome fall colors and wait till next year.